friends, today we are going to learn about modern Indian literature. But before directly starting with modern Indian literature, first we will discuss about literature in general. When we speak out the word literature, we may get confused about it because literature is an ocean. Too many forms of literature are present today, such as poetry, drama, novel, short story and so on. So let us start with a brief introduction of literature. Literature is one of the fine arts and it employs language as its medium of expression. These expressions are nothing but human feelings, their emotions, their pains and happiness. Any good work of art remains alive forever. Every nation has its own culture which has been depicted in the literature of that nation. We can see that any form of literature you read of any nation, it may vary in its forms, but the language which depicts it is same. This is because every nation has its one unique language. But if you think about India, the case is different. So, before discussing about the modern Indian literature, one must know about the languages spoken throughout India. There are 22 official languages spoken in India. With this, we are going to start to study modern Indian literature with the history of ancient Indian literature. Looking at a great history of India, we can understand that certain movements that have deeply affected each of the regions of India. So, obviously, it has been reflected in the literature of that time. It is very reason for having so many regional literatures in India. Now, you may have a question in your mind that when did the modern period of Indian literature actually starts? So, let's get some information about it in the next point. Beginning of modern Indian literature. It is said that the modern Indian literature began in 1800. When Fort William College was established in Kolkata, the aim of the East India Company was to instruct British civil servants to cope with the increasing demands of administrative machinery. In this era, only reading materials from Sanskrit as well as from foreign literature was translated. Grammar and dictionaries were written and compiled in the format of a book. This is a remarkable beginning of modern Indian literature. Hence, it starts to develop. After getting a brief information about the beginning of the modern Indian literature, we will see the characteristics of it for the better understanding of the development till date. Modern Indian literature consists of various forms which have a great impact of various movements during and after the freedom fight of India. Various political, economical, social, agricultural and educational changes have been occurred in India. Thus, modern Indian literature is having its own characteristics. So, it is proper here to learn it before going into the details of modern Indian literature. Emphasis on democracy and self-expression. Focus is on conflict between the orthodox and the unorthodox. The use of science and technology becomes common. Realistic picture of modern India can be easily seen. Women empowerment has been emphasized. Modern Indian literature is enhanced with popular literature. Emphasis had been given on multiculturalism and multilingualism. Increased use of English language as a medium of writing. Impact of foreign culture and literature had been found. Dysphoric and Indo-Anglian literature became an important type of modern Indian literature. Nuclear family, corruption, poverty, crime and wrong use of technology have given birth to the Indian dystopia. New institutions like banking, media and communication, globalization, addiction of using social media on internet and its bad results can be clearly seen in the modern Indian literature. Now we are moving towards the actual modern Indian literature. Study of modern Indian literature is a vast topic to discuss. So we have divided this topic into two parts. As we have seen in an introduction that India is a multilingual and multicultural nation. So first we will discuss modern Indian literature written in common Indian languages. Along with it, we can't neglect a great impact of English language on Indians, which has increased the number of writers who are writing Indian literature in English. To make a study of modern Indian literature easy and to make our lecture particular, we have selected only few languages. Now let's have some important information about these literatures. First we will see Hindi literature. The modern period of Hindi literature began in the mid of the 19th century. The most important development of the period was that the Khadiboli dialect became more prominent. The period was divided into four phases: Bharatendu or Renaissance, Dvivedi Yug, Chayavada Yug and the contemporary period. Bharatendu Harishchandra, who gave a new outlook to the modern Hindi literature, is known as the father of the modern Indian literature. Along with him, writers like Radhakrishna Das, Pratap Narayan Mishra, Balakrishna Bhatta and Sudhakar Dwivedi were the other important writers. During this period, social and political problems were depicted in the modern poetry. Another writer, Maithili Charan Gupta, revived the epic tradition with his long poems. Now we will move towards Bengali literature. While speaking about Bengali language, it is important here to tell you that Bengali language is the second most commonly spoken language in India. Rabindranath Tagore is the versatile personality who won Nobel Prize for Literature. He wrote National Anthem of India. Along with him, Qazi Nazrul Islam, who is an eminent personality in Bengali poetry. His poems were widely circulated after his death and he became one of the most popular Bengali poets of 20th century. 19th and 20th century is the Renaissance period of Bengal. So, most of the famous and recent literature of modern Indian literature can be found in Bengali. Marathi literature. Marathi language is one of the numerous languages of India. After Bengali, which has a great response to the spirit of a new age. Late 19th century in Maharashtra is the period of colonial modernity. This period was dominated by the English educated intellectuals. 19th century Marathi poetry began with Keshav Sud. This modern period is also influenced by the British Romanticism, liberalism and European nationalism. After him, a group of named Ravikiran Mandar was dominated. In 20th century, realism was first brought to the stage by Mama Varedkar, who addressed many social issues. After 1925, N.S. Phadke, V.S. Khandekar, G.N. Dandekar, S.N. Pendse, Ranjit Desai and Vinda Karandikar were some of the popular writers who came front. Urdu literature. Urdu language is considered as the most sophisticated language. Urdu Ada of Mirza Hadi Ruswa is the first significant Urdu novel. Prem Chand was known as the pioneer of modern Urdu fiction with his novel Godan. 1960s is the year when Urdu novel reached its height with novels of Karatulain Haidar and Abdullah Hussain. Later at the end of the 20th century, novel entered into a new phase with trend-setter novel Makan of Paigam Afki. Urdu Ghazal is the richest form of modern Indian literature, which has now changed its style and it is focusing on modern and contemporary issues of life. Assamese. The earliest known writer is Hema Saraswati. She wrote a small poem, Prahlad Charita. Srimant Sankardev has been considered as the popular writer Assamese literature of all time. Another writer, Bhattadev, is acknowledged as the first Indian prose writer. He introduced the unique prose writing style in Assamese. Padmanath Gohin Bhaur, Hemachandra Goswami, Hemachandra Bora, Atul Chandra Hazarika, Nalini Bala Devi, Birendra Kumar Bhattacharya, etc. and many new books on Assami languages and literature were published. Gujarati Literature. Gujarati language is the language of Gujarat region and now it is widely spoken and learnt by the non-Gujarati people also. Literature in Gujarati begins to become popular in late 19th and early 20th century by the poets such as Kalapi, Kant and Nandalal Kavi, who have experimented in free verse. Saraswati Chandra was the first social novel by Govardhanam Tripathi and became a classic in the period of after independence. The modern writers followed trends such as existentialism, surrealism, symbolism and tried to add a sense of alienation to the literature. K.M. Munshi, Hirendra Dev, Uma Shankar Joshi, Pannabhai Patel, Rajendra Shah and Bhagwati Sharma are some of the popular Gujarati writers. Now Kannada literature. The early 19th century is considered as the period of development in the modern Kannada literature. The first modern novel was written by Kempu Narayan titled Mudra Manjusha. Modern literature was cross-fertilized by colonial period of India. Many works have been translated into European as well as other Indian languages. Developments in various technologies have helped 19th century Kannada literature to flourish in the realm of modern Indian literature. B.M. Sarikantayya, a writer of early 20th century, was known as the father of the modern Kannada literature. Writers like S.G. Narasimhachar, Panje Mangesh Rao and Hattangadi Narayan Rao were also the contributors of modern Kannada literature. Along with this, T.P. Kailasam was the pioneer of the modern Kannada drama. There was a political influence on the novels of early 20th century. Gulavadi Venkatarao, Kerur Vasudevachar and M.S. Puttana took initiative in the movement of realistic novels with their works. Malayalam literature. Though in every regional literature, 19th century is the prominent period of modern Indian literature. But in case of Malayalam literature, we do not found any great writing. But the end of the 19th century was the period of a great renaissance. Many positive developments started happening such as establishment of colleges that providing English education, developments of printing press, growth of mass media, etc. led towards the modernization. A very significant development of this period was in prose. Vengai Nainar became more famous under his pseudonym Kesari. He was the first to explore the essay form in Malayalam. The first major novel in Malayalam language was O. Chandu Menon's Indulekha. It was a landmark in the history of Malayalam literature and initiated the novel as a new flourishing genre. Along with this, several noted works were written in 19th century. But in 20th century, many prominent literary movements were taken place in Malayalam literature. Now we will move towards Tamil literature. Tamil literature is a rich and one of the oldest literature of India. Islam and Christianity had an impact on modern period of Tamil literature. Late 19th century was the period of revival of Tamil literature. when religious and philosophical literature were popular among the common people. Subramanyam Bharati was one of the greatest personalities of modern times. He was famous for his patriotic and devotional songs. V.O. Chidambaram, Desika Vinayagam, Kalyana Sundaram and N.K. Ramalingam are some of the renowned poets of this time. The popularity of Tamil cinema has provided a good opportunity for Tamil poets. While talking about novels, Anuttama, Jayalakshmi Srinivasan, N. Parthasarathi, C. Subramanyam, J. Kantan are some of the important novelists of modern times. And in short story, writers such as Sundaram Ramaswamy, V.V.S. Iyer, Kalki, B.S. Ramayya and A.S.P. Iyer are popular writers in Tamil literature. Telugu literature. In a multilingual country like India, Telugu language is spoken at a large scale after Hindi and Bengali. During 19th century, the progressive movement and free verse movement were explored in Telugu verse. Telugu novels were written around 1870s. The first novel was written by Narhari Gopal Krishnamma Chetty, who wrote Rangaraj Charita in 1872. Kodavati Ganti Kutumba Rao laid the foundation of the realistic modern Telugu novel. Rachkonda and Kalipantam nourished the form of short story. In the late 19th century, drama appears in Telugu literature. Kandukari is known as the father of modern Telugu literature. He was also known as a pioneer of the Telugu journalism. Sriranga Srinivas Rao or Sri Sri was famous poet of 20th century. Now Manipuri literature. In the early days, Manipuri literature was mainly consists of folk and religious poetry. Three most important poets of 20th century have shaped Manipuri literature: Khwairekapam Chauba Singh, Lambam Kamal Singh and Hijam Singh. Khwairekapam Chauba Singh is one of the best writer of Manipuri literature. His historical novel Lavanga Lata is the best piece of work of art. He is known as the pioneer of modern Manipuri literature. Besides being a poet, Hijam Singh is a famous essayist and dramatist. His poem Khamba Toiba Sharing is considered to be a national epic of the Manipuris. Lambam Kamal Singh's novel Madhavi is the first modern novel of Manipuri literature. His collection of poems titled Lai Pareng is the most significant poetical work of art of the century. Now Punjabi literature. Punjabi literature had an impact of Victorian novels, Elizabethan drama, free verse and modernism because British education entered during colonial rule around 1835. As a result of this, many literary changes started to take place. 1860s is the beginning of modern Punjabi literature. In the 19th century, Puran Singh, Dhani Ram Chatrik, Amrita Pritam and Baba Balwant were important Punjabi poets, and Bhai Singh is the popular poet of 20th century. In prose, Bhai Singh is an eminent personality. Along with him, Charan Singh and Nanak Singh wrote novels and short stories. Other novelists like Jaswant Singh Kanwal, Gurdyal Singh, Gyani Gurdat Singh and Sohan Singh Sheetal are few other noted novelists of the modern period. After having discussion over modern Indian literature in common Indian languages, we will move towards the modern Indian literature existed in English language. Modern literature in English language is separately discussed here because English is not a language of India, but in the world of globalization, English language has acquired all the sectors of life and literature, and India cannot be exempted from that. So, comparing common Indian languages with English language, it can be found that writers and readers are getting attracted towards English language. That is the reason while studying modern Indian literature, we have to study modern Indian literature as a separate branch of it. Indian literature in English language. Nowadays, English has become a language of our world which has bound all nations together. Writing literature in English or translating it in English from the regional languages helps to gain popularity. So, here we are having a diagram that tells us the two important branches of modern Indian literature. Now we will discuss the first branch of modern Indian literature, Indo-Anglian literature. Many educated Indians want to express their experiences in English. Thus, Indo-Anglian literature got into existence. The content of this literature is Indian, but the medium is English. Henry Desrosiers, the Cavalier brothers, Kaushi Prasad Ghosh and Hassan Ali, Mohanlal, etc. are considered first Indo-Anglian writers of verse and prose. The mid-19th century is the Renaissance in Indian and the time of social reform. The Renaissance in modern Indian literature began with Rajaram Mohan Roy. He had a good command over English as he was working with British officials. Rabindranath Tagore was a versatile personality because of whom India gained a place in the world of literary history. He is not only a poet but a dramatist, actor, producer, musician, painter, an educationalist, philosopher, novelist and story writer. So, he is considered as Gurudev and the Maharshi, another eminent personality and a great contributor of Indo-Anglian literature is Sarojini Naidu. She is recognized as the nightingale of Indian song. Even the importance of Gandhi is outstanding. He had influenced writers a lot. Looking at his importance in Indo-Anglian literature, later the period is known as Gandhian literature. In later part of 19th century, writers from Bengal, Madras and Bombay continued to appear. The focus was on social and historical novels. In the first part of 20th century, writers like K.S. Venkataramani, Mulkraj Anand, R.K. Narayan, M.R. Anand shines with their writings. In the later part of 20th century, K. Nagarjun, Babani Bhattacharya, Manohar Mangonkar, Khushwant Singh, Shashi Deshpande, Kamala Markande, Anita Desai, Amitav Ghosh and many more writers came front. The recent development in Indian literature is a very remarkable because of these writers such as Chetan Bhagat, Samit Basu, Nilranjan Roy, Arvind Adiga, Daljit Nagra, Sudha Murthy and many more are coming up with popular forms of modern Indian literature. Now we will move towards the second branch of modern Indian literature, that is Dysphoric literature. The term diaspora has been derived from ancient Greek word which means scattering or sowing the seeds, is used to refer to any people or ethnic population forced or induced to leave their traditional ethnic homelands. They use the word to refer to citizens of a grand city who migrated to a conquered land with the purpose of colonization to assimilate the territory into the empire. In ancient time, Hindu and Buddhist saints travelled all over the world and we have found its proof. As India has a long history of fight for freedom, many invaders such as Portuguese, Dutch, French and English imperialists invaded India. They looted India and while going back, they had stolen our wealth and brought our people with them as their slaves. As a result of this, Indians were taken to various parts of the world. In ancient time, people were forcefully taken away with them, the invaders as laborers. Though this has been stopped after the independence of India, but migration of people does not stop. Well-educated batches of people were coming out of their higher studies and research in the foreign universities. Though the term diaspora has faced many changes in its meaning, now, broadly defining it, we can say that diaspora means a feeling of rootlessness, alienation, homelessness and love for the mother country. The ancient people were unable to express their true feelings through their writings, but modern migrated Indians are writing their experiences, and that is nothing but a diasporic literature. The diaspora studies were established in the late 20th century, and hence the term has been used in its modern sense. Like any other country, India too has its own diasporic literature. Indian diaspora is distinguished between two phases of migration. First is the colonial phase. It began before the independence of India, and second is the post-colonial phase. It began in the 20th century. Modern writers such as Arundhati Roy, V.S. Naipaul, Salman Rushdie, Jasbir Jain are some of the world-famous Indian diasporic writers. Among them, women writers such as Bharti Mukherjee, Kiran Desai, Anjana Appachinna, Sujata Mesai, Indira Ganeshan and Jhumpa Lahiri have made their homeland popular and memorable forever through their remarkable writings. Though these writers are geographically far from India, in the graph of their writing, India is far near to them. So both the branches of modern Indian literature have made modern Indian literature as a bridge between Indian and the Western culture. And now we are going to conclude. Literature is a mirror of our society. Anyone can write his or her experience in any form of literature. Literature is not a monopoly of any particular religion or region in India, because multiculturalism and multilingualism helped to create brotherhood among Indians. Modern Indian literature is not only limited with Indian languages, but with the help of English language, it is appealing to the readers across the national and linguistic boundaries. Language and culture may be different, but human sentiments are unique everywhere. So, diaspora or Indo-Anglian literature is becoming a dynamic branch of modern Indian literature. Though India is divided into different regions, cultures and languages, literature is a thread that has woven them together and has made India beautifully colorful. My dear students, I am thankful to you for listening me patiently. Thank you very much.